Mishki here, joining the GL world to pitch my new podcast, which now comes out twice a week, Wednesdays and Fridays. The show features an extraordinary array of exotic circus performers, forgotten Hollywood starlets, reclusive Fortune 500 CEOs, professional taxidermists. Yep, wait a minute, that's a different promo. Where's the promo for GLers? Here it is. Let's try this again. Mishki here, pitching my new podcast. We're out of time? Could I do it again?
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
How you doing, Reavers?
I'm doing well. I want to start off today's show by issuing an apology.
What'd you do? What happened?
Well, nothing too serious, but you did. I'm going to give you credit, man. You did such an amazing job of organizing kind of an impromptu get-together with Frat Pack members last night at Summit Brewery in the Rathskeller. And it's been a minute. I think it's, I try to think of this. I think it's been about 7 years since the last time I was at the Rathskeller.
Did we play a cornhole tournament there?
That was before that. So in 2018,
that's right.
we did a live GL broadcast. It was our first event as a podcast there, and that was around this time. It was, I believe it was the Friday before Christmas, which is like one of the most festive celebratory times of the year. And it was packed and it was so much fun. And then we did a cornhole tournament there with our buddies from Elevated for Bags for Wags. Wasn't that what it was called?
Like 110 degrees.
And then you brought a little pool.
Oh yeah, that was the best thing I did. Filled it with ice, brought a pool.
It was
that
awesome.
Actually made a big difference.
Oh,
to the truth.
it saved my life.
Yeah, it saved my life.
It really saved my life. And so, but
you
that
never thanked me for saving your life, by the way. Some people call me a hero, but not everybody.
Thank you for saving my life, Michael. But that place is so fantastic, and everyone that is associated with Summit is just they just hire great people.
They do.
They just hire salt of the earth people, and so many listeners showed up. And the apology I want to issue is I so wish I could have hung out for longer, but unfortunately I had family duties and I had to go pick up my son from basketball practice because he didn't have any other means to get home. Even though I tried reaching out to other family members or other parents and whatnot, but it was so much fun, and all the people that I encountered last night were so wonderful, and it kind of makes you, it reassures you about, oh yeah, you know what? There are good people out there, and it's kind of cool that we get to do what we get to do.
Yeah, it was really cool. When we set this up, we have this Frat Pack 5,000, and everybody kind of knows, like, I'm trying to find friends, and I thought we'd build this 5,000, so I got to have 5,000 friends.
Yeah.
And I think I'm touching the right nerve, because a whole bunch of people there were like, this is nice. Being with people. Where do you meet people when you're 55 years old?
Sure.
Right? And we have this community of GL that we love and the Weekly Scramble that we love. GL we love for sure. With the Weekly Scramble we listen to, right? And it's this thing we do. And boy, people could not have been nicer.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It was so cool. And we literally just all hung out. Had a couple beers, had some pizza, had some We Are Nuts and some Masters Maple. It was so fun. And I got to see people from the Frat Pack 5000 on Facebook, right?
Yep.
And I know them a little bit because of their posts, like Trish, right? But now I met her, like, in person. I was like, oh, what a sweet doll of a person. And there was just, like, Mary and
Sandy.
Joe and Sandy and Tom and Tim and Mark and Ingy and Dave Downing. And, I mean, just all of these people came. And it was a pretty good crowd. I did not know when I called Summit to say, hey, we're thinking of doing this here. And they said, well, how many people are going to come? And I said, well, one or two or 10 or 15 or 30. I don't know. And I think it was probably 40 people or something that came. Yeah. But it really turned out to be really, really cool. And I think it was the right number for the first time. And I think everyone said, we need to do this more. We need to do this more, and we can do it in the western suburbs, and then northern suburbs, and southern suburbs. We don't have to be always in St. Paul on this side of town. But I can't tell you how great it was, how nice. I didn't leave till like 8:30, and we were just sitting there, drinking beers, eating nuts from the We Are Nuts, finishing the pizzas. I was having everybody in the bar. I'm like, come eat these pizzas, because we ordered way too many pizzas, right?
Sure.
And I was like, just come over and have a beer.
Where'd you get the pizza from?
Skinner's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Skinner's really knows how to do it.
Yes,
right?
they do.
So we ordered like 13 pizzas from Skinner's. It was more than enough pizza for everybody. Well, I didn't know.
Sure.
I thought if 100 people show up, we're going to eat 13 pizzas, right? Half that. So I had literally no idea. The weather was perfect, so it turned out great.
It was perfect,
and
yes.
I do believe, and I might be wrong, that everybody that came last night would come to the next one plus.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah, that's cool.
It was really, really a lot of fun.
And the main apology I want to issue is to my gal, Linda Keller, and KellerTaxService.com. Here's a free plug for her and her business. Because I saw that she had posted, and I went, I must have just missed her.
Yeah, she showed up a little later, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you had been gone for a little bit of time.
Okay, because I thought, oh, crap, I missed Linda. So, Linda, I know you're listening to this. I apologize to you specifically for not being there when, or for having to leave before you were able to make it there.
I did talk with her for about 10, 15 minutes, and then I said, well, let me get you a beer. So we walked up to the front, and as we're ordering the beer, there's two great staff members, two bartenders there, and I said, hey, do you guys pay taxes? And they looked at me like, oh, what?
Oh, no.
And I said, oh, no. I'm not the IRS. This is Linda Keller from Keller Tax Services. And they're like, yeah, we pay taxes. And I was like, oh, no, just note to self reverse. If you want to start like a jovial conversation with somebody, don't start it out with, hey, do you pay taxes? If not, I'm going to call the IRS. They thought I was like, I went from a nice guy having a party to, why are you asking us this, you creep show? I could have asked them what size their underpants were, and I would have gotten a better result than, do you pay taxes?
I'm picturing now that scene from Tommy Boy. Remember at the end of the movie where he walks into the lobby and he said, excuse me, everyone, this will just take a second. And everyone hits the floor thinking he's going to rob the place. And he was like, no, that's not what I meant. Oh, God.
Yeah, I really dorked that up. So
that's funny.
Needless to say, the staff at Summit was great.
Yep.
Mark Studrud was going to come, but he's sick. He was under the weather, right? So I was like, oh, crap, that would have been so cool to introduce everybody at that party to Mark, because I think Mark would be one of us, right?
And that... The tap room, the Rat Skull, that place. You know what it does? You know what it reminded me of when I was standing there and talking to people and looking around. Because I remember walking, because you know that how they have that cool area, that like little side room that's next to where the bathrooms are. And I came back to come rejoin our group, and looking at the walls, that place, it screams St. Paul.
Oh yeah,
we're St. Paul's Brewery.
Super comfortable.
You know what I mean? You know exactly that where you are. You know you're in St. Paul.
Well, when I got there, because I got there at like 4:00 or a little early to set up and hopefully and people came right off the bat, which was great. Dave came right off the bat, which is awesome. And they said, well, here's this little room back here. You can have it here. And I was like, well, that room only will hold like 15 people. Right. And then the moment I said that, I thought, what if only 4 people show up? And then I was the one just making jokes about holding 15 people.
Well, I remember because that area used to be, or maybe they just did it for that one GL event that we had, but they had merch in that, maybe it was the room next to it. I can't remember. But I remember walking through there going, well, I got to buy that hooded sweatshirt because I love hooded sweatshirts. Right? I'm wearing my Harmony Spirits hooded sweatshirt right now.
Done,
And I thought, well, I got to buy that hoodie because I love hooded sweatshirts. That's, from about Labor Day to April 1st, that's what I wear.
They're comfortable.
I wear hooded sweatshirts and I wear quarter zips. That's the only thing I wear.
Well, I'm glad you made it. I'm sad that you had to leave. It was sad. I'm going to be honest with you. I know you had responsibilities. You said to me, like, oh, you're going to be mad. I'm like, I'm never going to be mad. You got to go pick up your kid. There's nothing you can do about it, right?
Right.
But it would have been great. You did miss some people because a lot of people came after you left. And it was just so cool. So thank you to the Frat Pack. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our viewers. I just can't tell you how much I adore hanging out with everybody, how cool everybody is. I mean, if you want to find a guy who was a race car driver or a pilot or a guy who works for Delta or a guy who was a trash guy, or
that's our people.
There are people.
Yes.
We got one of everything, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah. All right, I want to get to this story before we have to take our first break because I saw it this morning and I thought, hey, it's about, as Lizzo would say, it's about damn time. But I also
quote Lizzo.
Yeah.
Nice.
Remember that song?
I 100% do.
She calls it thick 30.
Yeah, I just didn't know. That's my favorite new thing, too, is if you see a gal who's overweight, you say, oh, my God, you're so pretty. You just look just like Lizzo. I think that's...
You might have got a better reaction from that than you did from the two gals at Summit that you asked about
oh, my
taxes.
God, you're so beautiful, just like Lizzo.
Hall of Fame big man Kevin Garnett is back in the Timberwolves' good graces. Garnett, who spent 14 of his 21 NBA seasons in Minnesota, will finally have his number 21 jersey raised to the rafters of Target Center. KG will also return to the franchise in a business development and community outreach capacity and work on content content creation. It's a long overdue reunion that's thanks largely to the team's new ownership under Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez. Garnett had a high-profile falling out with former Timberwolves owner Glenn Taylor when an agreement to join the organization disintegrated after the passing of Garnett's former coach, Flip Saunders. Lowry and Rodriguez have made it clear since purchasing the team that extended an olive branch to Garnett was one of the top priorities for moving the Timberwolves forward, unveiling the throwback black trees uniforms that Garnett made famous with a media blitz that heavily featured his likeness. In fact, they wore him last night when they lost another game. The Timberwolves have yet to reveal the date of Kevin Garnett's number retirement ceremony, but don't be surprised if it falls on a night the team is doing their classic 2000 eras threads. I bring this up because I was a huge Kevin Garnett fan, obviously, back in the day. But it just never ceases to amaze me the extent to which an individual will hold a grudge for eternity.
Yeah.
Because he was not going to do anything with this franchise as long as Glenn Taylor was the owner.
Help me remember, when he and Flip, were they trying to buy ownership into the Timberwolves?
So Garnett was acquired at the very end of his career as a player.
Okay.
And that's when Flip came back to run the organization and then ultimately ended up coaching the organization until sadly he passed away. And so when Flip came back, and then he came back as the GM or basketball operations, whatever it was called. And then I think that's when Rick Adelman was still the coach. And then Adelman retired. And then Flip just basically said, well, I'm going to hire myself to be the coach.
Sure.
Which is whatever.
Yeah, great coach.
And then he reacquired Kevin Garnett to basically end his career as a Timberwolf, which is what he absolutely should have done. And something, I don't know exactly how it broke down, but I think Garnett was under the assumption that he would ultimately end up owning part of the franchise, which is, understandable. He made a ton of money and whatever. And when Flip died, obviously all of that communication became muddied. And Garnett's one of those guys, you're either his guy, or if you wrong him, he will never speak to you again. And so, this is obviously a good move in that direction. But I'm thinking, for a guy to hold a grudge, and again, I love Kevin Garnett.
Great player.
But for a guy to hold a grudge against an owner who, oh, by the way, paid him an extreme ton of money. Mike, do you know that they had to institute a Kevin Garnett rule in the NBA?
That's a lot.
The Kevin Garnett rule, for those that aren't aware, was when Garnett signed what was then a record contract, not for basketball, for sports, in about 98, 99, 2000, somewhere in there. He signed a then record $150 million contract. And NBA said, whoa,
what are you doing?
We can't do that.
This is before everyone was getting $28 million bucks a year.
Correct. This was long before that, to the point where that contract upset Stephon Marbury so much because the NBA changed the rule now where there was there's a limit on what you can spend and whatever. That Marbury then demanded a trade. Said, well, if I can't make what he's going to make, then I'm out of here. And you think, and then for Garnett to then hold this grudge against Glenn Taylor, it's petty and it's stupid, but again, it's professional sports.
Career NBA earnings from Kevin Garnett over his 21 seasons.
Don't tell me.
I won't tell you. I think you're going to know it. Well, you're not going to know it.
21 seasons. Well, he made probably not much his first couple of years. I remember the contract that he signed with the Wolves that set the NBA on its head was $150 million. And then he went to Boston and he probably made a couple. I'm going to guess $260 million.
Not bad guess. $334 million.
Okay.
Net worth today is approximately 120 to 130 million, right? It's the internet net worth. They don't really know that, but that makes sense. You earn 350 or 334, half of that goes away in taxes, another 10% to your agent, but then you get everything else that comes along with it. Your Nike deal,
he's widely known as being extremely frugal.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's fact, smart.
To the point where I may have bartended with people that had to serve Kevin Garnett, and they were a little surprised at the lack of.
He's taken out his calculator to figure out 12% tip,
yeah, basically,
right?
Yes.
Well, good for him. Here's the question I'd like you to answer for me.
All right.
Why is he doing it? Why is he getting up to fly back to me? He doesn't live in Minnesota.
No.
Fly back. What do you pay a former NBA superstar?
I think it's one of those deals where, and you hear guys that go into broadcasting. You hear guys that are, when they're done playing, they go into coaching. You hear when guys are done playing, they want to be around.
They have
the
to
game.
have relevance. Yeah,
and it's because you grow up as an athlete. For Garnett, he started playing basketball when he was probably 4.
Sure.
Right, and he and I are right around the same age. He's a little bit older than me.
What are your career earnings?
Not that, but it's one of those things where when you're not, it's for me, it's town ball. I just love being around the game.
You didn't want to end, and you still today.
I don't make a dime. In fact, town ball costs me
time, effort, money.
But I don't care because I love it. I love being able to be around the game. I love that my kids are now get to be around the game, and that's kind of what it is. It's just you want to be. There's always going to be that part of you that loves in his case basketball. For me, baseball. I'm just always going to have that.
I wonder if he has any ownership in this deal. Because a lot of times they put together an ownership package. What did it sell for? $1.8 billion or something like that.
Yeah.
So a big chunk. Did he throw in $10 million and says I have 2% or half of 1% or whatever $10 million is on $1.8 billion?
Yeah, he might have, because I know he was trying to be part of a different ownership group that did not succeed in acquiring the rights to the Wolves. So I would guess that maybe Lori and A-Rod are allowing him to have a small stake in ownership.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Then it would make more sense. Now I'm part of a company that I own. I want it to succeed. I have ownership. I have impetus to stand up and go do TikTok videos.
Right.
Because he's going to be a brand influencer.
Correct.
I don't know. I remember him fairly vividly as a player, right? He was really, really great. But I don't think we did much with him, right?
We went to one Western Conference Finals
in 14 years.
Yep,
that's a long time for him. And he was getting frustrated because we weren't able to assemble a team around him.
But keep in mind, he never wanted to be traded. In fact, he was mad. That's part of why he was mad that he got traded to Boston in the first place.
Does he have a love of Minnesota? I think he did.
Yes.
You know why guys love Minnesota? You know why a lot of players love Minnesota?
Taxes.
No, not taxes. Fishing.
Oh, yeah.
They fall in love with fishing. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, I love going up to the cabin. I love being up north. I love fishing. I love the respect I get.
Moss was the same way. Moss loved to go bass fishing during the week.
Absolutely, right? And they're like so close to the up north here that it's like, well, actually, Minnesota's not a bad place to live if you're going to be in a town. And, oh, by the way, I can get myself a beautiful house for $2 million instead of in L.A. for $24 million.
That's true.
And, there's some real advantages to living in Minneapolis.
We also want to thank our friends at We Are Nuts for being a part of the get-together last night at Summit Brewing.
Tasting, We Are Nuts impromptu tasting.
And by the way, the dill pickle were the hit.
I like those.
They were the hit because everyone talked about those nuts last night.
They have a hot one and a regular one.
And I didn't realize that was you could get. I thought that was just a state fair thing, but that's a retail product as well. It was so popular
they've turned it into a retail product.
Oh, that's so cool! I did not know that. Well, hey, I got educated last night on We Are Nuts.
There you go.
I'm their spokesperson.
Yes, you think you would have known all the nuts.
But you can go into any of your Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores locations: Lunds and Byerly's, Kowalski's Markets, Cub Foods, Quick Trip, and Colburn's. My goodness gracious, I was just there this morning.
One.
I did grab it because the little guy's having a couple of buddies over, and he wanted the Hokey Pokey cheddar corn.
Oh, that's good.
So I got one of those, and I also got the caramel apple Hokey Pokey corn as well.
Yeah,
because it's so good.
We had them all there last night.
Oh,
everyone was sampling. I didn't know if anybody would eat it. We had Masters Maple. I know this is a spot for We Are Nuts, but Masters Maple doesn't care. We had them there sampling it.
That's
and I was
cool.
like, how fun is this? And everyone was like, I'm getting these. Rocky, one of the guys that was there last night, he's like, I'm going to White Bear tomorrow to pick all these up.
That's so cool.
He had an agenda. It was really fun.
And it is a week before Christmas, so there are gift packs available online at wearenutsmn.com, but it might be a little tight to get that in time. But anyway, just go to their website, and if you're not able to make it to any one of those outlets, you can place your order on their website. It's fantastic. A wonderful family-run operation based right here in the great state of Minnesota. Again, wearenutsmn.com, and we will be right back.
It's that time of the season when the football games really matter, and you can get in all the action with Underdog. It's so easy to play on Underdog. All you have to do is pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like receptions, rushing yards, touchdowns, and much more. You get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at some running backs to go higher on touchdowns. That would be maybe Josh Jacobs of the Packers, or whichever Lions running back sounds good. They're both doing great, scoring a lot. It could be Gibbs or Montgomery. Download the app today and use promo code GARAGE to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code GARAGE. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
I didn't know if we wanted to talk about Rob Reiner, but I think we should talk about Rob Reiner.
What a story, isn't it?
When it first surfaced, it's one of those Hollywood stories too. When you first hear of not the details, but you hear about what happened, you're thinking, okay, there has to be foul play involved. Like that, isn't that your initial gut reaction to a story like this? It is for me anyway.
You don't. When two people die, it's a lot.
It reminded me almost of the Gene Hackman story. From a while ago. Was it about a year? Was it a year ago or so? Whatever it was.
Where just mice basically killed his wife and he just died in a bed.
It's just one of those stories like, okay, story. Well, there's gotta be more to this, right? So let me pull it up here because I forgot to open up the right tab.
As you pull that out, let me Rob Reiner, some of his movies, Spinal Tap.
Oh my God.
Of course, All in the Family, remember that. Princess Bride, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men, The Wolf of Wall Street, The Bucket List, Flipped, and So It Goes, New Girl, Being Charlie, Sleepless in Seattle, The American President. I mean, over and over and over, he created some of the most iconic movies in the history of movie making.
So, and you added an element to the story that I was completely unaware of. But for those of you that are unaware of what happened, Rob Reiner, along with his wife, Michelle, were basically murdered inside of their home due to multiple sharp force injuries. The medical examiner's report came hours after Nick Reiner, the son of Rob and Michelle, was accused of killing his parents, and he also made a brief court appearance without entering a plea deal. Nick Reiner, one of three children of Rob and Michelle, was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. The couple's other children, Jake and Romy, released a joint statement on Wednesday on the devastating loss of our parents and asked for privacy while they grieve, and it's completely understandable.
The loss of their brother, too, because he's going away.
That's true. So, but you added a piece that I was completely unaware of.
So I've done some TikTok investigating, Reavers.
Okay.
And so supposedly Conan O'Brien was having a Christmas party or a holiday party.
Okay.
And the Reiners brought their son with because he was having kind of a tough time.
Sure.
So they said, come to this party with us. And it was a dress-up party, but the son wore like a hoodie. And in the party, you know Bill Hader is, he does all those voices. Bill Hader was having a conversation with somebody, and Rob Reiner's son was kind of talking and asking him questions, and he said, hey, I'm sorry, I'm having a private conversation, give us some space. And that kind of blew up. This is all hearsay. It kind of blew up, and so someone had asked him, hey, you got to go. You got to leave the party. We're kicking you out of here, right? So Rob followed him outside. They got into a huge argument because I'm sure Rob was like, what are you doing? I'm just playing this out in my cartoon bubble. Like, why are you doing this? You're here. We brought you here. You're being disrespectful. What are you doing?
And by the way, he's an adult.
He's an adult.
Almost 40?
Yeah,
is that right?
I don't know how old he is, but he's old enough to know better, right?
Yep.
But he has severe mental issues and
drug addiction
and things like that. And that preceded them being killed in their bed. So he went into their house, allegedly, and killed them while they were in bed. And just horrific. That's I don't know if all those details are right. So
we don't have to use allegedly with drug addiction because there was a clip that surfaced shortly after this horrific tragedy had unfolded, and it was Rob with this same son, and they were on the set of one of the talk shows. I don't know if it was a Dr. Phil deal. I don't exactly know which show it was, but it was Rob and his son just talking about battling drug addiction. And I remember Rob at one point saying, I'm so proud of him for taking on these demons and trying to battle these demons and trying to make. And this is from, I think it was at least 5, if not 10 years ago that they appeared on this particular talk show. And it's so sad because, there's nothing in life that's worse than a child suffering from something and there's nothing you can do for them, right? Whether it's, okay, we got to get you to the right doctor. We got to get you to the right treatment. We got to get you whatever the help is that you need. And as a parent, just feeling helpless because there's nothing you can do for them. So it's just such an empty feeling.
It's horrific to think of what the family went through, what that kid went through, right? But for the grace of God, I never got into drugs, right? Just by luck, I didn't do it, right? I probably had opportunity. I just was never my thing. And having
asthma saved me from smoking and everything.
Doing anything dumb, right?
Exactly.
There in one of those videos where he was talking with his dad, and they were doing an interview, I think, about the movie that he wrote, Raising Charlie or whatever it was. Okay. So he wrote a movie that Rob directed, and Being Charlie, and it was about the struggles of having a son with addiction, right? Yep. So the kid wrote this, and he was on this interview, and he said, I used to just lose my mind. I used to just go crazy with my parents. And he was talking about how he destroyed their pool house and how they just struggled with him forever. And he said, I kind of just lose it. I just kind of have this out-of-body thing, and I just lose my mind. I'm like, ooh. That's scary. One other thing that I find interesting is there's a Japanese word called sanpaku, S-A-N-P-A-K-U. I'm not pronouncing it right. And what it means is 3 whites. And it's the whites of the eyes. If you notice this kid's eyes, there's white on the side, white on the right side, left side, and on the bottom of his eyeball, you see whites. Okay. When I look at your eyes, I can only see the whites on your left and right. You can see white on 3 spaces on his eyes, left, right, and below his eyeball, below the coloring of his eye, right? And there is a belief and a Japanese tradition that signifies deep misfortune and an untrustworthy soul. Like this 3 whites, this name for this thing of his eyes. And he does have sinister looking eyes. Weird. Right? When you see the photos of him, you're like, he looks and has an intensity about him. And the Japanese actually have a word for it. And they describe people that have that. I did think that's kind of a little different because if you have Japanese eyes, your eyes are built a little differently than Rob Reiner's son's eyes, right? Yep. So it might be a little more weird if you could see 3 white parts of their eyes. But Rob's son had those deep, intense, creepy eyes. And I guess at that party with Bill Hader, after Bill had said, get away from him, he sat and stared at Bill, just stared at him. And they were like, you're got to leave us alone. You're creeping us out. And so that's why he was asked to leave, right? Because he was giving him the 3 whites eyes.
And I remember, whether you talk to certain celebrities and how they always try to protect their kids. And I remember seeing an interview with an actress very famous that basically said, yeah, I had a little bit of success. Once I became a mother, my husband and I just said, okay, we're moving to Montana. Mm-hmm. We're moving our kids out of here because there is something to be said about that because boo-hoo, you've got more money. Well, it's not even about money. It's about trying in any way possible to give your kids as normal of an upbringing as humanly possible, which I completely understand. I completely get.
It sounded like they did, like the Reiners kind of did, right?
Right, and I guess that's kind of where I was going because it doesn't really matter. You can have the greatest parents, the most sound structure inside the home or whatever, but sometimes none of that's really going to matter, right? So sometimes there's just going to be an avenue for this kid to get drugs whenever he wants and however he wants,
or genetics, or
whatever.
Some
right? Exactly.
It's very sad. Another thing that I thought was very sad with this story is the completely disrespectful and goofy statement by Donald Trump. It's like, Donald, why don't you just say, I pray for him and his family.
Either say something that says, it's what a horrific story, or just sit the play out.
Yeah.
To interject yourself with a disparaging remark, that just shows you a lack of character.
It really does. Yeah. And it pisses me off because I want to defend him because I do think he does a lot of great things. And when he just doesn't have to swing at that ball, he can just take the pitch. He can just say, hey, so sad. I don't wish this upon anybody. God rest their souls. And just leave it at that.
Because all you're doing then in that given situation with a truth social message or whatever it was, is you're just giving red meat to the wolves. Mm-hmm. That's all you're doing. Yeah. That's the only thing that you're accomplishing by saying something like that.
I say that, and I'm not talking myself out of my thought with Trump on this. But if someone was constantly bad-mouthing me, if someone was constantly saying I'm a Russian stooge, Reiner was writing a movie about Donald Trump in his relationship with the Russians right now.
Okay.
About being a Russian pansy, right? And just in the pocket of the Russians. And I think if I were Donald Trump or anyone, if I was Mike Fratelloni, you'd get tired of that, right?
Sure.
You'd say, I'm not doing that. And constantly belittling me, constantly talking about me, constantly giving me crap. But all you'd have to do is be the bigger guy. The guy was murdered by his child.
Right.
You just go ahead
Maybe
and let that one roll.
out. Yep.
If someone else gives you a rash of crap, go ahead and dig into them, let them respond to it, but just don't do it to the guy who just was murdered by his kid.
Yep.
So sad.
Let's talk about North American Banking Company. Banking done differently since 1998, and back then they made a promise to deliver a better banking experience for their customers where you know your banker and they know you. And while a lot of other big national banks, you know what? You might think online and mobile banking are an important part of what I want to do. Well, they have that. In fact, they have the same updated online and mobile banking tools as those other big national banks. But the key difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank, locally owned and operated. Here's why that's important. That means loan decisions are made right here in the Twin Cities. They are not sent out of state. So this helps all of you business owners solve problems quickly and also expand your business with confidence. You see, they deal with numbers every single day, but you are never going to be one of them. So see it for yourself. Check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender. The Weekly Scramble. We will be right back.
Football season is rolling along, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. It's so easy to play on Underdog. All you have to do is pick whether your favorite player will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, touchdowns, and a lot more. You get your picks right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, I think I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford to go higher on yards thrown for. He's been hitting the number pretty much every week lately. Download the app today and use promo code GARAGE to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code GARAGE. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
I just found something. I was talking about how Rob Reiner was writing a movie about Trump being a Russian stooge, right? Then, as I'm doing more show prep, as we're talking about this, Russian President Vladimir Putin just called Keir Starmer a little pig, right? Just use that little pig term, and he says, hey, we're going to put some missiles close to the UK. Remember when Donald Trump called someone piggy the other day? Maybe that's code words.
Oh, boy.
Where they're saying, let's control the world. You talk to Keir Starmer and call him little pig. I'll call this journalist little piggy or fat piggy or whatever he did. Maybe there's more to this Russian stooge thing than I thought.
Oh, my goodness.
Holy buckets.
Gracious.
Now Trump is probably going to say some bad things about me.
You know, here's the thing. As you're saying that, telling me that story, it reminded me just how, boy, you know, you want to, like last night, great time with a bunch of great listeners. And you're thinking, the world is right. We're a week away from Christmas. It's a festive time of the year. And then you're reminded of, boy, there's a lot of chaos going on out there. There's a lot of just nutsness going on right now.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Who would you rather have mad at you? Donald Trump or Vladimir Putin?
Oh, it's no question. It's Trump.
You'd much rather have him mad.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, because he's not going to throw you out of a balcony.
Yeah.
You wouldn't trip out of a window.
Right.
Okay.
Well, so this is a long way for me to get to where I was going to go to with just complete insanity as it relates to politics. And I know you haven't had a chance to listen to the Garage Logic podcast yet today, but Joe found a story in which the Minneapolis City Council, they're going to fight the homelessness problem that plagues our city.
Let's go. Let's fight it.
And you know what they're doing, Michael? This is a
This is
noble
going to be good.
effort.
They figured out the answer. I'm so excited.
they're going to spend $700,000 a year. Annually, every year.
Yep.
To build and maintain public restrooms.
Oh,
so a nice little outhouse on the side of on the sidewalk at 5th and Hennepin. That's how they're gonna.
Here's my bet on that. They cannot build one public restroom for $700,000. I promise you, they cannot put one together because you can't build anything easily in Minneapolis, and the government, will not build one restroom for less than $700,000. Any amount of money you want to bet on that, I'll bet.
But I don't even know. That's just what they cited. That the problem that we had earlier was, well, this is an annual thing. So because I basically flat out said, well, we're missing these are just going to become drug houses, is what these are going to become. These public restrooms.
I mean,
if these are open to the public on the streets of Minneapolis, that's what these are going to become. Yeah. And I don't even want to make an even bigger grandiose statement by what really I fear is going to happen with these places from people are going to be
or they're going to be using them as drug, or, do drugs inside of them.
But look at the one that they just built down here. The bus restroom. Have you seen this one that's over here?
Is it nice?
Oh, that's true. You always park in the front. What am I thinking of?
Do they have a nice one?
If you come down Barry, like the employees do, and you take a left to park in the back parking lot, all summer that road was under construction, and they built a restroom. It's a 3-doored restroom for the bus drivers, so they can take a break or they can do whatever. And they would be the ones that only had keys to them. So like I couldn't go use it. It's because it's locked. And that cost $5 million.
That's what I'm saying. We'll not be able to build a restroom for $700,000. We just won't be able to do it. The city of Minneapolis can't do it. They can't, because they'd have to do a request for proposal. They'd have to do a land survey. They'd have to do a phase 1 and phase 2 of the land to make sure it doesn't have lead-based paint poured into it. They'll have to do all of that stuff. They'll never, in the history of Minneapolis, will they be able to build a one-stall restroom for $700,000. They won't be able to do it. They just won't be able to do it.
Wow.
Even if they went and bought one of their empty skyscrapers and said, we're going to allow people to use this restroom in here.
Yeah, the IDS Tower is just going to become a restaurant.
A restroom. It's
a 50-floor restroom.
Someone had said that we shouldn't call people homeless anymore.
Oh, yeah?
And let me tell you why. Because... And I kind of believe this. The people that we have living in tents and that people that don't want to get off the streets, the people that are street bound and want to be on the streets, they didn't just miss their last mortgage payment, most likely.
Sure.
They didn't just say, crap, I don't have money for my rent, and they kicked me out.
This has been a series of events that have accumulated over time.
Or they want to be drug-addled, or maybe they don't want to be, but they're under the grasp of drug addiction. They are mentally ill. And we, instead of saying to them, we're going to hold you for 72 hours whether you want it or not, we can't do that to them. They'd have to voluntarily do that, right? And so to call them homeless is not really true. They're choosing, in many cases, not all of them, I get that, and I'm not an expert at this, that's the caveat. I don't know this for sure. But I think there's a big chunk of them that don't want to go to the shelters. We have active shelters that are sitting empty, but you can't be on drugs or alcohol under the influence to use them.
I have said this 100 times on this show. It's the exact reason why the piece that was done was so brilliantly done, but also horrifying at the same time. Watch the documentary called Seattle is Dying and explains everything that you need to know. There are all of these places for people to go, but the only caveat is you have to be clean.
Sure.
And that's it. If you're clean, come on in. We'll take care of you. But they refuse to be clean.
Yeah, and some of the things, too, that we have to do in cities. So if you go up to someone's tent and they have a bunch of crap around their tent, a bicycle with no wheel, a bunch of clothing, a bunch of crap, you can't take them away from that. You have to store that stuff for them for a certain time period, because those are all their belongings. So the city has to figure out what of this stuff is theirs, pick it all up, bring it to a storage facility and store it for them.
Wow.
Till it's such a complicated thing, but we do know one thing. Allowing people to live on the street is inhumane.
Yeah.
It is absolutely inhumane.
Yep.
Allowing people to be drug-addled and crazy out on the street is inhumane. We're better than that. What I fear is that, and I've said this on this show before, and I think you totally agreed with me, the moment you put profit motive into, we're going to get people off the streets. We're going to do it. All we want is $4 million grant, and they get the $4 million grant. There's never going to be a day where they said, we did it. Thanks.
Well, look at California.
Yeah.
They've spent $28 billion to fight homelessness over the last 10 years.
And it's just getting worse.
And it's getting worse.
Anytime you add profit to something, you get more of it. The reason why we have chickens is because we like to eat chickens. That's why there's billions of chickens. There's profit in chickens. We get more. If chickens were just natural, you'd see them like a eagle. They'd be out there. You'd say, hey, look, there's a random chicken or a turkey, right? It would be odd to see them instead of having millions of them. The moment you put a profit motive into curing homelessness, it can't ever be cured because everyone would stop making a profit.
Right.
It just doesn't make sense. I'm trying to figure out and understand NGOs better. Why are we using NGOs?
And how come we haven't come up with
Why
one?
don't we have an NGO? That's funny that you were talking about Move Minnesota and Move Twin Cities, or Move Minneapolis and Move Minnesota. I thought, why don't we just open an NGO called Move Twin Cities? And just put up the same bullcrap gobbledygook that they put up on their website.
Because they're good.
Yeah, bringing community together through natural resources. I mean, just a diatribe of BS, right? And we could just do that and just say the exact same thing and get our $1.6 million to do nothing. Right? It's just shy. I'm not saying that Move Minnesota and Move Minneapolis do nothing. I don't know anything about them. But why are we paying them at all? Why isn't the government attempting to do it? And if they can't do it, we shouldn't be doing it. We don't need to go hire a third party to do it. That's why we get billions of dollars worth of fraud in this state.
Man.
All right? I think I'm right about that.
I think you are too.
You know what else I'm right about, Reverse?
What's that, Mike?
Did you know that diarrhea is inherited?
I did not.
Yeah, I guess it runs down the genes.
Oh, my God. Hold on.
That is a joke for a 12-year-old boy.
And I will be repeating that to one later today.
Reavers, you are the best.
Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening, the Weekly Scramble podcast. We appreciate each and every single one of you. And let me throw in another quick plug since I'm rocking my Harmony Spirits hooded sweatshirt today. It's going to be a festive time. Stop down and say hi to Larry and Damon and the entire Harmony Spirits crew. The lights were up the other day when I was there, like the street light, like the festive Christmas lights. And it was so cool. The snow was falling. Right at sunset. It was it was such a cool atmosphere. So I wanted to throw another quick plug. And don't you worry, I was gifted a bottle of the caramel apple rum, and I will be sampling that.
You bringing that to my house tomorrow night?
100%.
Right?
I'm 100% bringing
a lot
that.
of people at the party, a lot of people last night talked about my spray painting mistake that I made.
Yes.
And I said, when I was talking to everybody, I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to show up. I said, my wife and I were going to be here, and then my wife turned to me and said, I'm not going. I'm cleaning up from the spray paint. And she did come. She ended up coming.
Okay.
Thank God, because I thought, oh my God, this is going to be kind of embarrassing if she's no showing because of the screw up on my spray paint.
On your spray paint,
boy, that was embarrassing.
But yeah, please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening, the Weekly Scramble podcast. It helps other people find the show. It helps us out as well. And like I mentioned, we appreciate each and every single one of you. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast and for hanging out with us yesterday at Summit Brewery. We'll talk to you again next time. And until then, cheers.